All right, everybody. Welcome to Ivy Knows Best, man. It's me, your boy Eric Ivy. Welcome back. Welcome back. Man, enough of this dry intro, man. What's up? Let's get straight to it, right? What's up? This episode is very, very, very important to me, man. I've been on a little hiatus. I've been missing y'all. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Y'all my therapy. But we had to get a couple things straight. So I understand how that goes. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna jump right into the deep end by saying good morning, everybody. Anybody who's actually viewing this or listening to this, that's right. We have a YouTube channel as well. I want to thank y'all for joining me today. Thank you very much. So, thumbs up to all y'all who are listening, thumbs up to y'all who are watching, and thumbs up to y'all who are doing both because y'all are the most important because y'all making it, the extra steps. Anywho, so let's get into it. Today's episode is a little different, man. There's no topic, there's no conversation to be had. Wow, somebody's probably like, dang, Eric, you finally don't have anything to say, right? But I do have something to say, man. I was talking to some of my friends, obviously, and they all had questions for me. I said, you know what? Just submit your questions to my Instagram, and I will answer your questions on my platform. Cool, right? So I got a couple questions that I want to definitely get into, right? So one of those questions happened to be from a really close friend of mine. I'm going to go ahead and grab my phone so nobody in here feels like I'm being disingenuous about my process, right? Because I obviously have a process, but who doesn't? So I'm on the heels of this training that we had because if anybody does know me, I do have a regular 9 to 5 and stuff like that. And we were actually discussing, uh, you know, extremism and things that aren't okay, right? We were having that kind of conversation with, what type of extremisms have we experienced? And I noticed one of my friends was explaining to me, hey, there's a difference between extremism and racism, right? And she's like, sometimes it feels like we were bouncing back and forth on the idea. And I explained to her, I said, you're right. I said, but the thing about extremism and racism is they're so close together, right? They're so close. I know we've talked about it here on the channel, but I definitely want to definitely come, to you guys and discuss it with y'all still. Like they're so close, they're twins almost, right? They run off one another. So racism, in my opinion, is an extreme ideal because it's an ideal that, hey, at my worst, I'm still better than you at your best, right? So that leads toward or leans towards people with extreme ideas doing extreme things, such as murder and all these other different type of things. What we saw at the Capitol. So one of my friends actually asked me this question. He said, "Hey, he's like, why is it that when we do things, it's not considered extremism, but when white folks do it, it is?" And I was like, "Well, that makes sense." I do understand there are things. I feel as if the extremism that is tied to racism or what we saw at the Capitol is completely different from the extremism that we would consider the Black Panthers to be. Because one is about a cause, one is without cause, right? One's because there's a root problem, the other one's because someone lost an election, right? Which I know this is old, but I mean, just these are questions, so I'm going to answer them, right? So, we were able to go ahead and cross our T's and dot our I's on the understanding of uh of that concept, right? So that's one. The next question I had was, how come we've moved away from prosecute? We haven't heard much about the prosecution of these people, right? And I'm gonna tell you why we haven't heard much about the prosecution of these people because they're not going to prosecute all of them. They're gonna prosecute some of them. They're gonna make a small like a little small smack on the wrist, even though it's technically federal crimes and you got pictures and information on these people, but whatever, they're gonna do what they're gonna do with them, and that's just all it's gonna be, and it's always been that way. All right, we've seen people die for less in this country, and we're not gonna stop seeing people uh get away with crimes that they shouldn't get away with, but it is what it is, right? So that's my answer on that, folks. It is what it is. All right, we've I think we've already come to the agreement and understanding that that's never going to change, and people aren't going to stop doing what they do just because we're disappointed. So we're going to have to do something a little bit different, and only time will tell exactly how far uh, we're going to go to change that. All right. Next question I was given. All right, and this is one of the questions I actually liked. I enjoyed it. This one came from actually someone I got a show coming out with by the name of Erica with the C. She actually has a podcast called Erica with the C podcast. Go check her out. She's everywhere. She had a really cool question for me. She says she wanted to know, how does a person know if someone finds them attractive before they shoot their shot. Now, look, ladies and gentlemen, I am not an expert. I am not an expert. Like most men, we do not know when a woman's trying to shoot her shot. I'm going to be honest with you. If you are a man out there and you know when a woman's shooting her shot, God bless you, because I do not know. Okay, I am not one of those people who can answer that question. But as far as like knowing when someone's shooting their shot, but what I can answer is the actual question of how does a person know if someone does find them attractive before they should shoot their shot? Well, if someone's giving you the clues and you think that they're attracted to you, like keyword being think, the best thing you can do is just go out on a limb and try. All right, you can say, do you want to go get dinner? You want to get a drink? You want to hang out? Whatever you want to do. Don't just automatically be like, hey, you want to come back to my crib and you know have sex? Let's have sexual relations. Like don't be that person. Don't be a creep, right? Like you know what I mean. Like actually find out whether or not the person is interested in you as as a whole. A good a good way of doing that would be being honest and being straight up with it. Try your hand at it. Because sometimes I won't lie. I said this to somebody. I said, as men, there are times as regular men, I get compliments sometimes, sometimes I don't. But there are men who don't get compliments all the time or at all, and they can confuse a compliment with you want to mess with you want to fuck around, and that's not even necessarily what you might want to do, ladies. So like if you feel as if somebody is attracted to you and you want to try your hand, you got to try your hand, because the only way you gonna know is if you try it. Now, if you feel if you're not getting pushback, the person isn't giving you compliments, or the person isn't going out their way to make themselves visible to you, then you can kind of put two and two together. That person's just probably being nice to you. If that person's real, especially like ladies really like to touch people when they're being flirty, real touchy and stuff. Which this is my experiences. Um, they want to be touching on you and stuff like that, or they're giving you over the top compliments, or the conversation starts really getting different, or she'll just come out and say, "Hey, it's 2021, bro. What's up? What you trying to do?" So that's like you can't. What can you do with that? You can't do anything with it except accept it, right? So that's how you do that before you decide to shoot your shot. You go ahead, you jump in head first, and if you get your head cracked, you get your head cracked. It is what it is. You get your feelings hurt, you get your feelings hurt. But one thing you can't do is you can't go walking around scared, not confident in yourself. Or you can just sit there and just wait until the person say something. Maybe both of y'all, just waiting on the opportunity. One of y'all gonna have to pull the trigger eventually. So, see what that's about. You know what I mean? Oh, which brings me to my next question, right? It's for all the single dads out there. The question was, what does a single father look for while dating? This is one of my favorite ones, as opposed to the next one, which is really my favorite one. But this is like one of my favorite ones. Uh, what a single father would tend to look for when dating is it's actually, and this is going to be different for every man depending on where he's at in his life, right? If he's fresh off the hurt and it's just happened and he's single, he's just trying to get back out there, ladies, don't try to push your narrative on him. All right. Don't try to push you need a woman who's going to treat you right. Maybe he doesn't need that right now. Maybe right now what he needs is just somebody that's going to satisfy his physical needs. And, he can figure it out once he kind of gets the therapy or the help he needs. You just got to learn how to respect that boundary, especially when dealing with a single man. When you're dealing with a single man, you're not dealing with somebody who hasn't been with somebody or who isn't desirable. You're dealing with somebody who's trying to fix the issue that he may have had, or fix the situation, or repair himself. So just like y'all need to heal yourselves, we need to heal ourselves too. But single fathers tend to look for a person that's cooperative. I mean, that's off the rip, ladies. Like cooperation, especially if you just came out of a relationship where the person wasn't cooperative, or the person was always combative, or you was always wrong, or you wasn't, you know, uh, her main source of reliability when it comes down to spending time with information, all that. Like if you weren't the person that she was using to really kind of build her life with you, but she was building her life around you, you know what I mean? Like she was just doing her own thing and you just happened to be there. Like, yeah, if you're going through that, they're gonna be looking for different things. So ultimately, most single fathers are gonna be looking for somebody who's reliable, somebody who's going to be cooperative, and somebody who's going to understand if he has children, that he has kids, and that his kids come first. A lot of women nowadays aren't dating single fathers. A lot of them are coming in with I don't like using it, but I'm gonna use it, the masculine energy and the masculine thought that if you got too many children, I'm good, because that leaves no attention for me, that leaves no time for me, that leaves no money for me, which, and ultimately that's not the truth. Because in most cases, I'm not going to, I don't have the statistics in front of me. In most cases with single fathers, the children aren't with the father. The children are with the mother. They live with the mother. They might come stay with the father here and there, but majority of the time is spent with the mother. And by the way, while we're saying that, congratulations to all of the single fathers out there. Okay. You deserve a round of applause for doing your thing and taking care of your kids. All right. That's amazing. That's something I actually like seeing and like hearing. But I think that we need to go ahead and take two steps back and realize, in the dating scenario, ladies, if you are dating a man who has a child, or if you are dealing with a single father who is ready to get back in that marketplace and start, dating and doing his thing, that even if he has children, most of those children aren't going to be with him. Now, you have a right to not want to be with somebody with multiple kids. That is your choice. I always felt like it's always the difference between having multiple kids and having multiple baby mamas. Yeah, if you have multiple mothers of your children, that's a little more sticky. If you only got like only one person has my kids, right? So like, and that's the end of that. So I know who the mother of my children is. I know who, one person I got to go through. There's only one person that person has to deal with. Like, if you're dealing with somebody who has multiple and they have a crazy situation, that I understand. But, kind of cut some slack to the fathers who only got one baby mama, multiple kids, and one baby mama. So, cut them some slack, ladies. But that's what I think most fathers are going to be looking for. They're really looking for something that's different from what they dealt with. To answer your question, like plainly, without all the politically correctness that I've been giving out, you're looking for something that's completely different. Like, because I mean, or maybe you're looking for something. I mean, it just depends on him. But maybe for the most part, that's what we look for, especially at a certain age. If you're at the beginning level or you're young, you're gonna be looking for a good time when you're fresh out of a relationship. Especially when you are, I'm back out here. All right, cool. I'm not tied down. Okay, cool. They keep making brand new women over and over and over. You know what I mean? If you're if you're younger, pardon me, folks. If you're younger, you're not going to be looking so much for that. You're going to be looking for just a good time, right? But the older you get, that changes. Like, I have a 14-year-old daughter. I have a 10-year-old daughter who's going to be 11. I have an 8-year-old daughter who's going to be 9. I have a son who's 6, who's going to be 7, right? So like, my children are old enough to understand that if I'm to make myself available on the dating marketplace, then they're going to have to understand the person. The person's going to have to understand them. So now my needs kind of go a little bit past the surface level stuff that would exist if I were a little bit younger. I'm 32, which, by the way, my birthday just passed and on the 16th. So happy birthday to me. If you haven't said it, shame on you, but it's all good. But nonetheless, that's that. And, and on to that next question. I haven't forgot. This is my actual favorite question. And this is the one that I think is game changing. Okay. Because I'm about to be very uncorked. Mama, cover your ears. Don't listen to this one. Grandma, don't just turn just now. This word, look, aunties, uncles, y'all just leave the room. Just go ahead and get out right now. You don't want to. You don't want to hear this. This is not your. This is not your. This is not your podcast part right here. This is for us younger people who are adults. And the question was this: Can a woman just really have her way because she can suck the nails off a coffin? Listen here. Can a woman have her way just because she can suck the nails out of a coffin? Just 'cause she can suck a golf ball through a garden hose. Just because she can suck the dirt off chrome. Just 'cause she can suck your spine through your dick hole. Pardon my language. I do apologize. But yeah, is that possible? All right, cool. Now listen to me. Hey, y'all know when I start laughing, it's about to be some BS, but it's real. All right. If a female can do that certain thing, men tend to be a little more open to letting her do whatever she wants, like, or giving her certain leeways, or giving her certain benefits, so to speak. You know what I mean? Kind of got stuck on the word. But in a world that we live in where nothing's special anymore, right? We live in a world now where it's not special. Like there's certain things when I was a kid or when I was a teenager that we thought were just like level of things that you did with your wife or with your husband or whatever the case may be, or with your significant other. But nowadays, these younger folks, that's part of the course. You know what I mean? Like when I was a kid, we were taught not to have oral sex with women. Now, I'm not trying to be ridiculously nasty, but I'm just being real with y'all. Now we was taught that's nasty. If you go down on a female, you a nasty dude. Ain't nobody fucking with that. Don't put your face down. What's wrong with you? Like you a nasty nigga. These young boys out here nowadays, that's the top. That's their thing. Like it's like top of the list. So to answer that question, yes and no. Yes, because ladies, you can have a special skill that you can legitimately manipulate on a man who ain't never experienced it. No, because now it's part of the course. Now everybody's out there. Excuse me. Now everybody's out there doing that. Everybody's out there doing, you know, doing their thing. You know what I'm saying? Making it glass. They know what's up. These young ladies ain't out here just playing around. These young boys ain't out here playing around. That's why I be trying to tell these older women. When you get out here in these streets, you're not competing with women your age. No, you're not competing with a woman your age. You competing with all the young little 20, 21, 22, 20, between that little age group, 18 to 24, 18, 25. Girl, please. They've been hip to the game way before y'all was. Or I'm sorry, not way before you. They've been doing the game sooner than you were doing the game. They were out there doing the activities that you found to be nasty, that you were taught wasn't the move. And what they're doing is they doing it to these young boys when these young boys get with y'all and y'all be like, I'm not doing that. Guess what they're doing? They going out with somebody else. They not wait. We are not in a society right now where that's reality. You're not about to sit back and live a certain life or live a certain way and just expect people not to do things, right? Like you're not going to be like, all right, I don't do this. Yes, you and in a relationship, I understand that you're going to need to respect someone else's I don't do that, right? Because you're in a relationship with that person. It's more than that. But in these situations of casual hookups and casual sex, you don't have that crowd no more. Everybody's doing everything because they want the experience. So when you go out there with your sheltered self talking about I'm not going to. All right, cool. Go ahead, grandma. Go back in the house because they out here doing it all right now. They doing all of it. And the seven things you got marked off your list, somebody can go on Tinder or whatever other little sites exist. Plenty of fish. Whatever. I mean, I don't know. Get on those little sites, and I guarantee they be swiping people who just doing it off the rip. They just doing it from the jump. It's probably in their bio. Will suck spine through penis hole. Like, look, man, look, it's like, like I want people to understand this, man. Same thing, dudes. Don't think we're not exempt, fellas. Like, all right, ladies, because I know for a fact y'all feel like sometimes I ignore y'all on the show, and I don't. But and I'm not trying to go too far on this explicitness. But in reality, gentlemen, everything you don't want to do, there's a young nasty dude out there doing it. If you in your 30s or 40s and you talking about, oh, I'm not, these young dudes paying, they be like, man, I have a homegirl right now. Got a work husband, side nigga, actual husband, boyfriend, and a sugar daddy. She got all five levels, and guess what? I don't know who knows about who, but in reality, I'm pretty sure these niggas all know about each other in some fashion. I know the husband ain't stupid enough to think his wife ain't got four other niggas, and if he is, never mind. That's no one asked me that question. I'm gonna keep it to myself. I'm gonna keep pushing, right? I'm gonna keep pushing. But the reality is this: look, women, y'all can, back to the original question, y'all can definitely finesse a situation based off those skills. Now, I'm not going to, now, this is not the platform for you to know that. So I'm not going to tell you what you need to do to finesse those skills. I'm just telling you there's a ability to finesse the right person with those skills. So the answer to the question is yes and no. And fellas, same thing with us. If you out here, you laying it down right on your on a woman, you doing all the things she likes and loves, you get a little more leeway. The only difference is women operate a little bit differently from men, right? When they like somebody, they gonna act crazy over it. Like dudes will act crazy too, but for the most part, like real dudes is gonna be like, all right, I'm just gonna go and play my part. I'm gonna be quiet right quick. I'm gonna let it come around, and you know, you not, or they're gonna find something else to do. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna do something else to occupy their time. A lot of these females, you start breaking them off real crazy, man. They be back before you know it. She might go do something to go occupy her time, but you can also finesse those same skills they be finessing on those men. But once again, that comes down to a certain type of person, right? So if you're the kind of person that's going to go out there and you're going to do exactly that, you know, it's you need to know what you need to know what you're getting yourself into. Okay, if you're gonna go out there and finesse your skills, you gotta know who you're gonna finesse them on. You gotta know how long you're gonna do it and when you're gonna stop. Okay, because the one thing you shouldn't do is ever play with anybody's emotions. That's just not even the move. If you're gonna play with somebody's emotions, you get a whole nother bag of tricks, and they might mess around and open your head up and dump out the files and read all of your shit to you. So don't mess with people. All right, just we live in a different world. But oh, I have one more question. Somebody have one more question before I go ahead and kill the question portion and get into another topic. All right, cool. Question is this. All right, how do you feel about the recent events that have taken place with relationship gurus? I said I'm not going to talk about it because everyone else has, so we'll pass on that part of. But I will say this: do not give out information that you're not following. Simple. Am I happy stuff's happening to people? No. Do I think that people should probably say a lot less than they do? Yeah. Even though this is what these kind of platforms are for. Y'all log on, y'all click on Twitter, YouTube, whatever you're gonna click on, and you listen to us talk. But in reality, it ain't, nothing too crazy. But for the most part, you definitely want to make sure that you talking your stuff. Now I do say this though. I do there was a question I avoided, but I'm not gonna avoid it since I got a little bit of time today. All right, like the little white boy said, hey, you disrespecting my I have time, but I got time today. Yeah, I got time today. I got time for this one. Um, I was asked the question. This is in person, and the person was like, "Well, what do you think the problem is with marriage?" I said, "I think the problem is with marriage that people, especially in the person's a Christian. We're talking about with Christians. What's the problem? And I'm a Christian. I'm be honest with you, not the best Christian in the world, but I'm a Christian. I make mistakes and I do all these other type. I just said a couple curse words and had a crazy soliloquy with this last thing I said, but it is what it is. So the question was this, why do you think Christians are divorcing, quicker than everybody else? And I kept it real. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I said, look, there's three things that I think are actually, let me not say three. There are a multitude of things that are plaguing Christian people, that are plaguing regular people. One, they're adopting values that are opposite of what they believe, right? And now check this out. Now, the Bible said that we were made one for another, right? Like essentially man and female were made to be together, not one to do without another, right? But that's not what's being taught. What's being taught outside is you can do everything by yourself and you don't need the other person. When that's completely the opposite of what you were supposed to be taught. So the reason why they're being plagued, number one, is because it's a juxtaposition. It's different. It's opposites. Like you're on two sides of the road. You're on two separate sides of the road. You can't want to follow what God tells you, which is okay. You, if and this is just for the Christian folk out there, you want to be married, so you need to operate in this way if you're in a godly marriage or in a Christian based marriage, right? So you have a job. Both of you have a job. His job is to love, protect, and take care of your needs. and listen to God. That's his job. His job is to be gentle with you. These are all things that are in the Bible, right? And your job is to respect, obey, do all these things. That and this is another thing that affects the people. Become somebody I need to submit to. That's not even in the Bible. That's not. Listen, somebody pull up the scripture right now. I promise you, if you pull up the scripture, I will cash app you money. That's not even in the Bible. Becoming someone that's the Bible never tells you this is optional. The Bible never tells you that it's optional for you, man or woman, to um to do your manly or wifely duties. It never says, husband, love your wife if she's somebody to be loved. What? That's not even, that's not even, why wives, honor your husband if he's someone to be honored. That's not even in there. That's some human made stuff. That's crap. So the reason why, yeah, why those marriages are starting to fall apart is because you start off using God, and then you slowly but surely start using what's going on outside of God to justify your marriage. That's one. Another thing that's affecting them. They're humans. And I'm not even a relationship expert. So don't even take relationship advice from me right now because I am not the person to ask. But I'm going to tell you this. I do know a thing or two, and the thing or two that I do know is limited as it is, even though I know the shows Ivy knows best. I'm going to tell you what I do know to the best of what Ivy knows is that you cannot use God and use the devil. Okay? You cannot use God and use the devil. You can't. God won't even rock with you like that according to the Bible. If you do this and this, God's like, all right, cool. You can just stay over there then. Okay, because if I don't even want you over here if you're gonna be in the middle. All right, so that is for sure a reason why people fall off. But have you ever seen those marriages where oh, I'm gonna teach him a lesson, I'm gonna teach her a lesson. That's not even how you're supposed to even operate. That's not how love is. And that's another thing. The Bible never tells you that a marriage is based on love. Relationships are. That's friendships, girlfriend, boyfriend, you know, father, son, mother. Those are relationships, right? Relationships are to be built on love, whether it be eros or I forgot what the other mutual love is, where you have love for a friend, right? Whether it's romantic love or just friendship love, love is the basis, right? But marriages, you don't institute a marriage. You all right? The Bible never told the woman to. I said this to one of my friends. The Bible never told the woman to love the man. Women are reciprocators. I've said this before on the show. If you ever listen, women are reciprocators, right? Right. Women are multipliers. Women make things better. So when you impregnate a woman, you put your seed in a woman, the sperm meets the egg, and what happens? It just multiplies. Everything just multiplies inside a woman until it grows into a human being, right? Women are meant to be helpmates. So generally they reciprocate, right? So as a man, that's why the Bible tells you at the beginning, it tells you, husband, love your wife. Be patient with your wife. Women, my mother sent me this, and it's true. She's like, women equate affection with love. So when a man loves a woman, he shows her affection. A woman equates that with love. A man will equate respect with love, right? So when a woman shows a man the respect that he's due, he equates that with she loves him. So when a man loves a woman, does she return love? Yes, she does return love because that's what women are meant to do, right? They receive, send that signal back, and men, do the same thing. It's ebb and flow. Everybody does. Everybody one for another. It's one in and out, in and out. That's what they do. But when you forget that this is what our purposes are as people, that's when you start seeing these little Christian marriages fall apart. So to answer your question, can't use God and the devil. You can't be in and out, and you can't apply worldly principle to what God has according to the Bible. That's just my little tidbit on that one. All right. So those are the questions for today. All right, and I appreciate all you guys submitting your questions and stuff. It was actually fun for me to actually really have to get in my bag and I have like a real topic of discussion for y'all because I think it got crazy after a while um, to like sit back and come up with ideas and have conversations and let things spark you. And that's normally like what I normally do, but I think this was a lot. It was cooler because I was able to, kind of touch on some stuff. Now I was asked by one of my podcast people, and they were like, "Hey," because I'm part of this Black Podcast Network. Shout out to them and all the people that are part of that. Um, we were talking, and she's a big advocate on sexual harassment. I think we all are big advocates on it. But I was honest. I said I don't think that's something I should talk about. It has nothing to do with uh it has nothing to do with anything personal. It has everything to do with the idea that when it comes to sexual harassment, we as a community of people, we as a country of people have a lot to fix. We have a lot to do, right? And the reason why is because, and it's not just men are at fault, women are at fault, squares, circles, triangles are at fault, whatever anybody wants to be in their life are at fault. No, it's because the lines of what sexual harassment are completely blurred and different. They're inclusive, not equal. Okay. So, there's often times where women will do and say things and not blaming ladies, but in this understanding part of it, where women will say and do things that are, and I've seen this, that are sexual harassment based. The man says nothing. And even though he might not be comfortable with it, he'll just kind of ride with it and let it go. But there's also been situations where men will say some shit and it might not be welcome, and the ladies will be like, "Hey, you know what? That's sexual harassment. You get your ass me too real quick. Get him canceled immediately." The cancel culture be knocking on your door immediately. So I said because I can't intelligently defend either side of this because there's no defense. I'll say this really there's really nothing to defend now I'm thinking about it. Now that I'm actually running my mouth and talking about it, there's really nothing to defend. You can't defend sexual harassment. You can't like sexual harassment, sexual abuse, like all those type of things aren't you can't they're indefensible. You can't defend those things. They have to be treated the way they're treated because they are problems. They are not welcome. They are harmful and they're not helping. Okay. But I think that when we start having this conversation, we have to start looking at the overall picture of it. We've seen it with Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson, whether he's guilty or innocent, will never be able to wash the stain off of being called a rapist, a sexual harasser, even if he's proven innocent of all these cases. I'm just using him because he's famous. We saw the same thing with Ezekiel Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott was proven innocent by not one, but two different police departments. But a woman said he hit her. The NFL still suspended him. And then they looked at all his behavior subsequently with it. And it kind of rolled down, even though they said, nah, that's not right. But it didn't matter because he'll never be able to shake that stigma, right? Even if you didn't do it, you're still going to be considered that. So that's why I said it's hard to reconcile that because what happens is people automatically will paint you a certain way, whether you're guilty or not. So, as a man or a woman, if you are sexually harassing somebody, whether you win in the court of law or the court of your workplace or whatever the case may be, you will never win in a court of public opinion. This is why it's hard to talk about it because those who are doing it do need to be held accountable. But for those who've been exonerated, when do we let them go? When does the statute of limitations change for a crime such as sexual harassment? And how do we punish those who do it? I know I said I wasn't going to talk about it, but I'm gonna talk about it. I mean, I might as well shoot. I already touched on it now. Like where? And this is just me. This is not me being. I don't want to come off just being cold or callous about it or disrespectful. But when do we hold everyone who does it accountable? When? When do we cancel everybody? We've seen people get canceled for a litany of situations. We've seen people get in trouble for a litany of a lot of misdeeds, sexual misdeeds. And sexual harassment, ladies and gentlemen, isn't just like, "Hi, my name's Brittany. How are you?" If I were to look, oh, Brittany, that's some really nice lipstick. That's a weird comment. What if I didn't mean anything by it? What if I just really liked the color that she had on and I didn't know how to say it? This is why it's hard to have that conversation, because no matter how much you try to rationalize the idea, you don't want to come off like you're protecting or being understanding to someone who may or may not be doing something incorrect. It's not cool to touch anybody. It's not cool to give unwanted comments. Fair. I can live with that. That is an acceptable and understandable situation. But it's also not okay to lie on people. It's also not okay to use shit like we're seeing in the Deshaun Watson case, where I'm only using him because he's super duper current event. Multiple massage therapists coming out saying he's having them do things to him they didn't want to do, and that and if anything that they're saying is true, and I'm not doubting them, and I'm not victim shaming or victim blaming, I'm just giving correct context and saying he deserves his day in court just like they do. So he's in this law, in the law that we live in, the law of the land is innocent until proven guilty. So we can't sit up here and go, oh man, he did that. We just don't know, especially with something such as this. And this is actually this is like assault. This isn't sexual harassment. This is just sexual indecency altogether. And we need to, you know, let that play out completely. But when do we, if he is innocent, when do we say, all right, you're innocent? We forgive you, it's over. We're not making joke signs, anything. And then what do we do to those who made the claims that were found to be false? Do we press forward with them for making false claims? Because if he's doing this, there's no question. We need him off the streets. Get his ass out of here. If he's doing that, he don't need to play another down of football. He's a monster, and he needs to be sitting down behind the brick wall somewhere, twiddling his thumbs, getting all the help he can get. Just like if there's somebody at your workplace right now, giving off the creeper vibes and doing all that. Like, jokes are jokes, but we got to know where it's a joke and where not to joke. And I always say this: err on the side of caution. If you made somebody feel uncomfortable, make sure you're clear about, hey, I felt uncomfortable. This is just real life. If you don't, I tell my children this all the time, and I'm gonna tell y'all this. If you don't feel good about something that someone is saying or doing, you need to speak up. Do not wait. Do not be afraid of reprisal or what'll happen to you. Because if something happened, it happened. That's the thing about the truth. The truth it's irrefutable. You can't, like, what do you do about the truth? Absolutely nothing. How do I punish you for the truth? If I can't punish somebody who's found innocent, if they didn't do anything, if I can't, punish them for that, I can't punish you at the same time for telling your truth. If someone did something to you, you need to say something. If someone says something to you and you already say, hey, bro, stop talking to me like that. I don't appreciate that. That's too much. And they keep going, problematic. And look, none of it, all of us have been sexual harassers at one point. Whether you want to admit it or not, at one point or another, you've told a dirty joke, you've said something inappropriate, you've complimented somebody and they felt uncomfortable. This is why it's hard to really have that conversation, because you don't know what does and doesn't make someone uncomfortable. You have to now just keep everything as simple as you can keep it. Let your yes be yes, your no be no. If they're telling a joke and it's inappropriate and you feel a certain way, you say something, they keep going. All right, whatever. But we live in a society where, no offense, it's super soft. We live in a super soft society. I've never, as a kid, I was never taught about micro and macro aggressions. Never in my life. Sexual harassment was a conversation, but it wasn't a conversation like, oh my god, it wasn't like it is today. Like, straight up, we've seen we now, does that mean that our communities being softer is different from our communities being aware? Because there's a line, right? Awareness is saying this is going on and it needs to stop. Softer means you can't say that to me because I don't like it and it makes me feel uncomfortable, but I'm going to say this to you. And you shouldn't say anything back to make me uncomfortable. You understand? So that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is why I don't want to talk about that. But nonetheless, this has been an amazing show, man. I want to thank y'all very much for once again joining me on this ride, having a conversation with me, kicking it with me. Join in with me next week because now we're gonna be dropping weekly. We got to stop doing this little back and forth thing where I don't drop and I drop and I leave y'all waiting like Sade for a new album or Frank Ocean or whoever else we wait for to Kendrick. Where you at, Kendrick? J. Cole. Come on now, dog. Drop more albums. We need that, right? But I'm not gonna keep y'all waiting anymore, man. I do want to thank y'all very much for joining me. Hey, man, as always, as Ivy knows best.